Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Dawg Pound Pod. And you might be saying to yourself, "Well, hold on a minute. What's going on here? Haven't done one of these in a while." Well, I have decided, and I have personally murdered the OBC, because that was I enjoyed doing it, and I thought it was going great. But the problem was, I noticed that I've been continuously getting 1,000 views or more on the Dog Pound Pods. Now I've only done like 3, um, and I was planning on doing them pretty continuously, and I started doing other stuff, and it just kinda got out of habit, I guess you could say, and, I was thinking about it, and I was talking with Cam about it and all that. I think from now on, I think we're just gonna do these under the name of the Dog Pound Pod, because I feel like people see that name, Dog Pound, and assume it's like professional. You know what I mean? So I think we're just gonna keep doing them under this name. So it's pretty much gonna be the exact same thing. We're gonna give you a um, podcast, I guess if you want to call this a podcast, probably like 40 minutes or more. I think I'm going to do one every 2 weeks in the off season. And Cam is going to be the reoccurring guest co-host, whatever you want to call it. I don't care. I'm not picky about those things, but I'm also going to have some other people on, some people who you may know. I've been talking with some people at the local radio station and whatnot, other Browns YouTubers. Hopefully, get on and just talk about the Browns in the off season. So that's what you can expect going forward. Everything as far as the podcast is going to be done under the Dog Pound Pod. So that includes Cam, that includes solo. If I ever want to do a solo one, any guests, that way I don't have to do them as separate videos. I can just do it under one umbrella. I got a separate intro made. I think y'all like it. Well, y'all seen it already. Um, but I just did that today, and I figured, hey, why not? Let's just roll with this, keep it all under this umbrella. And then, if I want to talk about anything else, I could put that out separate. So as far as podcasts and all that, it's on here from now on. I'm looking forward to it. But anyway, enough of that. Let's get into it. Joining me as always, Cam,
Yes,
tell the people.
sir. What's up, man? How you feeling, man?
I am feeling fantastic. Other than the
That's
fact that
good.
I
That's
pulled my
good. That's
groin
good.
and I don't know how and it hurts.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's painful.
Oh yeah. Especially when you don't know how. I legitimately just woke up like 2 days ago and I was like, "Oh man." And then I figured out I was like, "Oh." So,
Jeez.
but anyway, so this is our first post regular, well, not post regular season, post season as a whole podcast. So what we're going to do today is talk about the season, preview some of the off-season stuff. We'll talk some draft prospects and I guess what we are looking forward to, possible moves and such. So, I guess let's just start off. What is your thoughts on how the season went as a whole? Did it meet your expectations? Um, just get into that.
Well, the season, before the season even started, I was preaching playoffs and 11-5. And to be quite honest, I didn't expect my prediction to actually happen because we done multiple predictions previous years and it's nowhere close to what we predicted. But
Hmm.
it was kind of a shocker for me because they actually won 11-5, and I said that before the season to start, I expect us to go 11-5. And a lot of Browns fans are saying, "Nah, man, I see us going 9-7, maybe 6-10 again." But I'm like, "Nah, man, I see us going 11-5 this year." Playoffs. Um, I just, I'm just thankful for. I mean, I don't, I can't complain about anything, man.
Yeah, getting to what you said about like preseason predictions, I think I can't remember. I think my final one was 10-6, but I was kind of balancing on that 9-7 because it's exactly what you said about, we predict things every year. And it's like, man, I don't want to get left down again or not left down, let down again. And I just kind of figured, new head coach, new GM, Baker's coming off of a rough year. I was like, I'm going to be optimistic, but I did think there was a chance. I thought the bottom floor was 9-7.
Okay.
Um, but I think, when you think about it, like at the beginning of the year, my thinking was, hey, look at what we did. Even though we did go 6-10, that was a horrible offensive line, complete dysfunction, bad coach, doesn't know what he's doing. And I thought, well, the offensive line was repaired. We didn't know how good it was going
Yes.
to be, but we knew it was better. The coach, we didn't know if he was good or not, but he's better than Freddie. That's a certain. It's very hard to be worse than what Freddie was. Um,
Definitely.
so I mean,
I
at the
think any of
beginning,
us, either I think either me or you could have did what Freddie did.
yeah. Well, and the problem was with Freddie is it wasn't even like I don't think he's a bad dude necessarily. I think he just was so overwhelmed. He didn't know what to do. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
yeah, it's looking back at preseason predictions, looking back at it now, it's like, wow. It's one thing to talk about it before the season starts going, man, you know what? We're gonna make the playoffs. We're gonna go, over 500. We're gonna have a great year. It's one thing to say that, but then it's another thing for it to actually happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
So that's it's amazing. I don't know when the last time we were able to say that was. Probably not even in my lifetime.
Yeah, probably not, man.
But
I know I can't think of anything.
so it was a tremendous season, fantastic. Couldn't have asked for more. There was some games, and that's another thing. When you look back at this season, the one thing that sticks out to me was there was a lot of games that we could have easily, or maybe not easily won, but there was games we could have won. I look at the
If
Raiders.
you look at it, man, we
Yeah,
only should have lost 2 to 3 games this year, man. It's crazy that we're saying that, but I mean, if you look at back at the winnable games and the games we could have won, we we could have been we could have been we could have won a division off of those games. Those 2 or 3 games that we lost that we should have won.
yeah, and yeah, I mean, and that's another thing. I mean, look at the season. There was that 3-game stretch of just crazy weather. You couldn't do anything. I heard I don't know if you ever heard of the guy who does the Angry Browns fan like
Yeah,
Instagram
yeah,
page and
yeah. I
stuff.
know who he is. Yeah,
Yeah, he was talking about because they have their own podcast too. And he was talking about he was at that game and he stood up in a rain poncho and I mean just g- blowing every which way, rain, you couldn't hardly see. And they were just laughing. I don't even know how you could attempt to play in this weather. So everybody was like, "Oh, well, they didn't play that great." Then it's like, "Well, yeah, good luck. Go try it."
and yo, take a look at this, man. If you look at last season, bro, in the December and January, we had great weather, man.
Yeah, that's
Great
just
weather.
that's our luck. That's our luck.
It barely snowed last year, man. I don't even think they played a game in the snow last year.
No, I don't. That's a good
No,
question. I don't think they did.
I don't remember seeing any snow on the floor.
When I think we had a lot of away games at the end of the year last year too, you know.
Yeah, we did.
But yeah, I mean, think about it. Like that Raiders game when that weather was crazy, we didn't have Nick Chubb. I think if we had Nick Chubb, I think we win that game. You know,
Definitely, definitely.
and then you look at the Jets. It's like, I mean, we
Barely
didn't
have
have
a
a
team.
single receiver. So that game could have very easily been a win, and it was almost a win anyway.
Yeah, definitely.
So, I mean, you add on that's 2 games, so that's 13-3.
That Ravens Monday
Yeah.
night game.
Yeah, there you go. Ravens we could have been 12-4. 12-4. Or wait a minute, no. Did I get that wrong?
Uh,
12-4,
Ravens,
13-3,
Raiders, Jets.
15-1, whatever. You get my point. We could have been
Yeah,
like top of the top, which is even crazy to think. I think 14 is 2. 14 and 2 is what I'm looking for.
That's
But
division title right there, man.
and that's the thing. I think that's when you look back at this season, it's like, okay, we're here. It's time.
And
We're here.
another thing that should get fans pumped for next season, man, is we did this in our first year with a full new staff, new
Mhm.
players, and a new system. So next year
Mhm.
the players should already know what to do. You know, same system, same coaching staff. It should just be much easier.
Well, and not only that, they didn't have like the normal. I mean, nobody had the normal off season, but I
Yeah,
mean, it's
definitely.
different when you're starting everything brand new.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the
And
fact
I thought that was gonna hurt us a little bit, with COVID, virtual, and trying to install a new system and all that. But
it
it hurt us a little bit, but not as much as I expected it to.
yeah, I was just about to say it did hurt us, but not nearly like I expected more dysfunction than anything else earlier on, guys not knowing where they should be and whatnot.
Yeah, definitely.
That didn't
Offsides,
happen.
penalties, and
Yeah.
false starts.
And that's coaching right there, you know?
And I don't know about you, man. I'm so used to us having 10, 12 penalties a game, man.
Coaching. That's the difference. Coaching. So Kevin Stefanski and, um, AVP, that's the guy who nobody talks
Yeah,
about
nobody
through
gives
this
any
whole year.
credit to AVP, man.
AVP is the one who you should be crediting for the turnaround that Baker had. It's AVP. Now Kevin obviously did his part. Um, but as far as like the footwork, your release timing, all that was AVP. Like, do you remember in the offseason, that's what the biggest conversation was is, hey, we're gonna get Baker's feet right. We're gonna get his eyes right. We're gonna, and that's what he did, you know?
Definitely, definitely.
And that is so big. And I tell you what, I'm not saying now, don't take this the wrong way. I'm not saying Stefanski should give up play calling. But I think there should be a real conversation on that coaching staff, or at least the offensive coaching staff.
And to be honest, I think the only reason why we're not really at Kevin's neck or trying to make him give up play calling is just how successful he was. And I mean, play calling did. I mean, you can't really. If you look at last year's season, you can't. It's nothing really to complain about play calling, to be honest. But I mean, I know where people are coming from and stuff. But I mean, I'm comfortable with Kevin calling plays. But I do see what you're saying. That we should kind of consider maybe having Van Pelt call plays a little bit.
I think they need to just sit down and talk about it because I think Stefanski's play calling was a little bit more conservative. And that's not a bad thing always, but
Yeah,
y-
definitely.
you can't have too much of it. You know what I mean? And that's another thing. I mean, maybe that's just Stefanski this season trying to,
Maybe rookie head coach
yeah,
mistake. Just trying to
figure
test
it
out,
out.
see what to do and what not to do.
So
Yeah,
that's one of the things I think when you look at this season, you split it up into two halves, right? You
yeah,
have, um, I guess you could say hints of specialness in the first 8 games where like you're winning games and you looked solid doing it. You didn't look like an elite team necessarily, but you look like you can win.
yeah.
You look at that back half of the 8 games and I mean, I don't want to say a completely different team, but certainly looked like a completely different quarterback, um, for the Browns. I mean, I thought Baker first half versus back half was
I don't think he was comfortable,
no,
quite comfortable as he was.
no, he wasn't. Well, one of the things, I mean, go look at if you look at the Ravens game, the first game of the year, the first thing I noticed, and I remember this right off the top of my head because the first thing I did was call, um, one of my coworkers I used to work with who's a Browns fan because we used to talk about it all the time. And I said, "Hey, what did you see? You saw Baker not comfortable. You saw him not trusting his eyes. He wasn't trusting. I mean, his feet were in the right place. He just wasn't trusting what he was seeing. He wasn't trusting his ability. He just seemed lost, and that I don't want to say it carried on, but it was like less and less and less and less each week. And then you look at the back half of the games, and he was comfortable. He was hitting guys. He wasn't dancing around in the pocket. He knew where he needed to go with the football. He was accurate. He was sharp. Just everything that we thought. You know what? He looked like Oklahoma Baker.
Definitely, definitely.
And I mean, we talk about how great of a
He
rookie
was
year.
getting out the pocket a little, man.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's another thing he did in college. People don't talk about he used his legs, and he wasn't the
And
fastest,
that's
but
why I
he
was so
did.
confused why he would just take sacks last year. I mean, I know he can run a little bit, but he's not the fastest guy. But that's I'm like Baker ran in college a little bit, used his feet, but it seems like he gets to the NFL and just doesn't want to run.
Yeah, and the thing that's nice to me is even before the year this year, we're talking about rookie year, rookie year, rookie year. Well, this was Baker's best year. This is the standard from now on, especially them back half of games
Yeah,
where
definitely.
he looked statistically, he finished, I think, b- top 10 for sure in like pass rating and all that.
And
But
if you look at it, he was doing it against divisional opponents as well.
well, that's the thing. Everybody talks about, oh, well, Baker can't win you big games. He folds under pressure. Well, guess what? When the Browns played, the best team they played that year, throughout the season, other than the Steelers, in the Tennessee Titans, what happened? He completely embarrassed them. And then, obviously,
That was a team that people were expecting to go to the Super Bowl.
well, certainly a deep playoff run, at least, So it's not like he didn't play well against bad or good defenses, because that was another criticism I've heard. I've said it a lot. My best friend's a Steelers fan. That was his number one critique of Baker was, hey, once he sees good defenses, he can't perform. Well, he did that this year. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yep,
And another thing that a lot of people aren't talking about, guess what? Baker Mayfield has the same amount of wins as Lamar Jackson in the playoffs.
true, true.
And Lamar's been there 3 times. Baker's been there once. So, I mean, and that's another thing. Baker played very, very well in the playoffs. He didn't fold. That's the biggest moment. We had Sunday night at Pittsburgh, biggest game of his life, and he balled.
Straight up.
KC the next week, I thought he played very well against Kansas City.
Definitely.
I mean, obviously Mahomes is the better quarterback, but as far as I mean, it looked like he came in thinking, you know what, we belong here. We're here to play, and we're gonna do everything we can to win, which is what you should do every week. But his body language, what we talk about with being comfortable. Not only was he comfortable, like the last few games, he wasn't just comfortable, he was confident. Like he knew
Yep.
I can
You
do
can see
this.
it in his face as well.
Yeah. And you could see it like you watch his post game pressers and stuff like that. He's not, he gets these stupid questions. And instead of being, the cocky, I'm going to give you some BS crap, answer, he's just like, answer to the best of his abilities and move on. And
Yeah,
it's maturity. That's like one of the biggest things that he's done this year is maturity. I think he's taken a big step as far as being that leader.
definitely.
So, I guess what we'll do from here, let's pivot into this. Off season, there's going to be a lot of guys who, up for deals or well, maybe not up for deals, but you're going to have to start thinking about them. Where do you stand now after the season's over? We've had a little bit of time since the last game. How do you feel about the whole OBJ situation right now?
Um, to be honest, I really don't know. I haven't really sat down to think about Odell. I mean, I don't know. How do you feel about it, man?
Well, it's hard because like for the longest time I was like, listen, you can't trade him. It's not that. It's Freddie Kitchens. It's the offensive line. That was my thoughts last year, and then this year it was like, okay, it's not. I mean, I don't want to say it's not Freddie Kitchens because that certainly had an effect, and it was partially offensive line to blame for last year too. But you look at it this year, and it's like, okay, we have a coach, we have an offensive line, what isn't clicking here? And to me, um, I've heard people talk about maybe not having enough time in the system, which I can believe because in the pre or in the training camps, if you remember, they did all of it was recorded. He was hitting OBJ left and right, looked completely fine. And then it came game time and it was like, okay, where's that at? And it wasn't there. Um, Reality is there's no debate. Baker was way better after OBJ left.
Yep,
You know,
definitely.
you can point to that and say it's because OBJ. You can point to that and say it's because he got better in the
But to be
system.
honest, I don't think they were playing that bad together before Odell got hurt though.
Okay. So you don't think it was like um so you think they were fine together is what you're saying.
I don't think they were fine, but I just you know how like a lot of people just says like they just don't click. They were playing okay ball, you know. Maybe they needed to clean a couple things up, but I don't think they were playing terrible.
Yeah, I mean there were some games where I was like for instance, that Bengals game, the second game of the year, I was like, "Okay, here we go. This is what I wanted to see." Um and I mean they had their moments, but to me you
The
look at
Dallas
okay,
game really blew me away though.
but here's the thing with that. I was just about to say that. What's his best game? Oh, it was the Dallas game. How did he have his best game? It wasn't through passing. It wasn't through Baker to OBJ. It was handoffs, it was trick plays. So that's what concerns me is we cannot build an offense around Odell Beckham Jr. It can't. I mean, I don't care how great your receiver is, it doesn't start there. It never has and it never will start with whoever your number one receiver is. It
Definitely.
starts at the quarterback position, it starts at your scheme. This offense does not revolve around receivers. It revolves around running
No.
backs and the play action game off of that. That's the heart. And
Yep.
that concerns me. It really concerns me that the best game that he had nothing to do with, I don't want to say nothing, but it wasn't Baker to OBJ. It was all this trick stuff. That really concerns me. Do you get what I'm saying there?
Yeah, I definitely get
Does
what
that
you're saying.
concern you?
I mean, ooh, not not really, but I mean to be honest, you do have a point though about the trick plays. I mean, it doesn't revolve around just one receiver. And I mean, if Odell doesn't get that, I mean, it's a zone run scheme offense, heavy run and play action. And I mean, to be honest, you really don't need two-star receivers for this offense. So I mean, I know people don't want to hear this though, but in my opinion, what I would do is I don't want to trade Odell, but I mean, stuff happens. But I would re-sign Higgins and see. I mean, just at least entertain some offers and see what people are willing to give up.
I completely agree. I
And I
completely
mean, you
agree.
got Peoples Jones that showed ton of potential last year, and I can't think of the other receiver. Of
Um,
course, we got Landry coming back,
are you
and
talking about Hodge?
yeah, Hodge.
Yeah. All right. So I've been thinking about this a lot. And That's why I wanted to talk about it. So you want to hear my plan?
Yeah, let me hear it.
So this is my plan, right? If I am Kevin Stefanski, this is what I'm doing. Well, I know it's really not Kevin Stefanski's decision; it's Andrew Barry's. But if I was Kevin Stefanski, first of all, I would sit down one on one with OBJ first, and I'd say, "Okay, listen, I understand Jarvis is your best friend. I understand, all this stuff. Do you want to be here? I take no offense either way. Do you want to be here? Yes or no? If he says yes, then you say, okay, here's what we're going to do. What we're going to do is me, being Kevin Stefanski, and the coaching staff are going to sit down and we're going to um, rethink, maybe not rethink, but take what we learned from this past season, take everything that was successful using OBJ and try to create um a new not a new version, but a new part of the playbook that best supports that. Okay?
Definitely.
Because if you are going to have Odell Beckham Jr., you need to use Odell Beckham Jr. the right way. You can't
And
like
you know what I was saying, bro? Actually, you seen the way that Kansas City was using Tyreek Hill with all those motions, and
bingo,
that's exactly what I was saying that we need
bingo.
Odell for.
I'm
Confusing
so
defense.
glad you said that. I was just about to say that. I was about to say, you see how Casey uses Tyreek Hill. They don't just do I mean, they don't have like pick up a random playbook and run these plays. They have selected, schemed up plays for Tyreek Hill. I think that's what we need to do for OBJ. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yep.
figure it out. If you want him here, you're going to have to figure it out because I don't think you're going to be able to get anything deep. I mean, maybe a team gives up like a late second round pick, but it's like I'd rather have OBJ, honestly.
Yeah, definitely.
So, but so
Second round pick,
anyway,
I promise.
back to my plan. So that's what I'm doing, right? I'm trying to figure it out. I'm scheming up the playbook, whatever. And then what I'm doing, if I'm Andrew Barry, I'm saying, okay, OBJ, listen, you want to be here? We want you here. We want this to work out. But here's the deal: you're coming off of another major injury. You're set to make a crazy amount. We got guys we got to re-sign.
Yep.
And here's the deal: either we have to restructure and come together on a deal, or you're going to have to be traded because we can't have a receiver who is injury prone and we don't even know how if he's going to work out. You know what I'm saying? So if I'm Andrew Barry, it's either trade or restructure. It's one of the two. I don't think you can keep him at the number he's at right now. Okay.
What's his salary at?
Um, I'd have to look it up. Let me try because I think both him and Landry combined are making like 30 mil plus this year.
Okay.
OBJ salary.
Cause yeah, like what you said, we got guys we gotta resign. I mean, you can't let Denzel Ward walk in free agency. You
Heck
can't let
no.
Chubb walk.
Okay, so in 2018, okay. Well, in 2018 you signed a 5-year 90 million with the Giants. So, I'm going to see if I can find now. Um
90 mil. Oh my god.
okay, 2021 um 2021 he's set to make 15 15 million. uh 15. Okay, so 2021 15, and then so 50,750,000. 2022 is 15, 2023 is 15. So his deal runs through 2023. That's a total of 77 guaranteed. 77 million guaranteed on his whole deal. So, um, so if he were to restructure, what number do you think we could get down to?
Mm, honestly, That's tough.
I mean, can we get him down to like 10 or under?
I was gonna say 12.
Because here's the thing. I mean, the problem is what happens if you keep OBJ around and then you have the same exact problem? You're going to be trading him. I mean, you're not keeping him.
Yeah,
You-
no.
So you need a contract that is, I don't want to say team friendly, but it's not like a top, like, Tyreek Hill contract, DeAndre Hopkins contract. You need a contract that is, I don't want to say easy to move, but a team will look at that and say, okay, we think we can, use him here. Give me a late first or a early second and a fifth or something like that. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah. You
I
never know.
think
You never know. It might be a team out there that's desperate,
maybe, and that's another thing. I think they could,
contender maybe,
yeah, I think they could shop him this
or
offseason as well.
someone that needs to make a splash trade, like
New
Houston.
New England,
Definitely, definitely.
Green Bay, if they want to keep Rodgers happy, Green Bay.
Yeah, because you can't just keep throwing at Adams all day.
Yeah, San Fran might be a spot. Detroit, maybe. Like, I think there's a lot of places that need receivers. I just don't know. I just don't know what you're gonna get. But yeah, I
I just got a
completely
report on
agree.
my phone.
I completely agree. We need to treat him like a Tyreek Hill, uh, in KC, where everything's schemed up for him. There's a specific fit. Um, as much as I like Odell as a downfield threat, I think we need to use his speed more than anything, you know?
Yeah.
So,
Let me ask you this. I just got a report on my phone. It's looking like the Browns gonna let Larry Ogunjobi walk in free agency.
yeah, I heard that was a likely possibility. um
He had a down year this year, so not
he
really too
was
much.
he was solid, but actually this is a good pivot. This is one of the things I wanted to talk with you about as far as rebuilding this defense. I think that just like last season, how the Browns had um, not only did they just fill the needs, they had splashes at the needs. Like even positions like Austin Hooper was, where they didn't like desperately need Austin Hooper, but they went out and they spent a little bit more to get him. Kind of a not a luxury pick or a luxury signing, but like, hey, we're serious. We're trying to win things now. I think that Andrew Berry needs to pick a position, either a position on the defensive line or a linebacker or a corner where he needs to go out and get a difference making player.
Desmond King is available.
You get what I'm saying though?
Yep, definitely.
So we're picking 26. Um, it's going to be interesting because I think what happens with these quarterbacks is really going to determine, who slips, right? Because you have so many teams that are quarterback needy right now. I mean, you got to look Stafford, he's out. Detroit's going to need a quarterback. Um, Depending on what happens with Deshaun Watson, where he goes, you know, if that fills a quarterback need, um, the Texans, whoever they're gonna, well, they'd have to get a pick and a trade to get a quarterback, but there's so many teams. So,
Definitely.
that's that's really what's gonna depend on who falls, you know?
Yeah, and I think we could get a nice linebacker in the later rounds as well.
Yeah. I think here's my thinking here, right? If Joe Woods is gonna be your defensive coordinator, you gotta look at where he came from. He came from San Fran, right?
Yep.
What did they do best? They let their defensive line just go eat. And then they had good cover corners and good DBs in the backfield that would allow time for the front line to get there. I think that needs to be the strategy here. Like we talk about how desperately we need linebackers. Honestly, I think if we sign some guys like we did this year, like with Malcolm Smith, BJ Goodson, and all them, and then have Taki fill in and Jacob Phillips. I think if we add another linebacker, like maybe second round or whatever, unless the right one falls in the first round, but if we add a guy, younger dude, and pick up some guys in free agency that you think could be good rotational back or linebackers, I am going full force rebuild the defensive line and rebuild the secondary. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But the good news is with the secondary, you're pretty. I don't want to say you're set, but you're a lot farther ahead than you were this season.
You're
You
like
know,
one or two players away in the secondary.
yeah. I mean, if Greedy comes back, you're gonna have Denzel Greedy, Grant Delpit, Ronnie Harrison. I would like to ideally. This is really where I think we should try to make a splash. I would like to get another starting caliber corner. If like I've heard Stephon Gilmore could be available. I've heard Marshawn Lattimore potentially could be available. I'm not
Yep.
saying for sure, but
Desmond King.
Desmond King, like you said, if we can come out and we can use Greedy as like I don't want to say not a starter, but like where he's not getting the super tough matchups, I think that's the best role for him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think
Would you
Andrew
put?
Barry.
Would you kind of saying put Greer in a nickel
I don't know about
or
putting Greedy. I don't know about putting Greedy at
or a
nickel.
third number three receiver?
Yeah, because what Greedy does best is, I mean, he's a ball hawk. You know what I'm saying? Like he
Yeah.
flies, he sticks. I mean, there's a reason why he's nicknamed Greedy. Um, I think he just needs to have his own set role. Like I don't think he did bad his first year. I just think he was a little bit out of place a lot of times, you know. Um so we'll see how Joe Woods fits his defense, but so as far as like draft guys I'm looking at here, my top 3 edge rushers, obviously Kwity Paye, Gregory Rousseau. I think those guys are going to be gone. The guy at 26 who I think is realistic, um I think there's about I'm going to say 40% chance we get him is Carlos Basham Jr.
Okay.
He goes by Boogie Basham. Out of Wake Forest. If, all y'all listening, and even you, Cam, if you haven't seen, go look at his highlights from Just for Bombs Productions on YouTube. He does all the highlights from the college guys. Go watch him. To me, he is like the perfect opposite of Miles, what we need.
Okay.
I think he fits. Like, he's a guy who's a really good pass rusher. He's solid in the run game, but once he gets his hands on you, you're done. It like, it's over. So I think when you pair a guy like that with Miles, you put them on the edges, and then if you come out in free agency and you sign a big name defensive tackle, watch out. You know what I'm saying? Excuse me. So that's a name who I'm really looking at 26, Carlos Basham Jr. Mark that down, people. As far as like corners, I mean Patrick Surtain's gonna be gone, Caleb Farley's gonna be gone. Um, JC Horn, cornerback out of South Carolina. That might be um he might be available. I don't know for sure. He's kind of a guy who's, because he's out of South Carolina, he's gonna be maybe not a I mean, he is a big name, but he didn't play this year. Or no, he did play this year. I'm sorry. I'm thinking of Caleb Farley. Um, it's going to be interesting where he goes. I think teams are going to have different corners at the top, on their draft boards, but he's a guy that could be available at corner if that's where the Browns are looking. As far as linebacker, I think Micah Parsons probably going to be gone. He's going to be a top 10 pick likely. A guy who's probably going to be gone that I would love is Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah out of Notre Dame. I doubt he'll be there. Um, who knows? Dylan Moses, linebacker out of Bama. I think I don't want to say he's not worth that pick, but I do think you're reaching on potential more than what you saw from him his last couple of years. He got hurt towards ACL, wasn't quite the same, but his freshman year he was insane. Zaven Collins, Tulsa linebacker, Nick Bolton, linebacker out of Missouri. That's some names you could be looking at. So, do you have anybody who you're really set on in the draft?
Not really, but someone I would like it to see us taking a later round is linebacker Pete Warner at Ohio State.
Yeah, and I tell you what, another guy who I can look at us getting is Tommy Togiai.
Definitely,
I think that would be a
definitely,
great fit,
definitely.
especially if we let Ogunjobi walk.
Yeah, I was gonna say either if Haskell Garrett would have came out, that's what I would have had on my draft list as well.
Yeah. But I think Haskell's going to play his way into a top like an early first round pick.
Yeah,
Um
one thing I like about Warner for the Browns defense is he can run with the running backs and tight ends,
yeah. And that's
and
what you need in the AFC
maybe
North.
some receivers as well. And he's not afraid to stop the run or go make a play on the quarterback.
Mhm. He's a guy who you could fill in or what I was talking about like rotating guys, you know what I mean? Between young
Yeah,
guys and veterans. He I think he'd
he
be
might be able
perfect.
to be. He might kind of remind you of a Joe Schober, but better.
Yeah, you know what? He does kind of I mean a little bit. He's obviously not near Joe yet or what Joe was, but
Yeah,
he's got the same abilities as Joe to get there. But
I think he's a little faster than Joe as well.
oh yeah, Joe. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, but that's certainly an option. I've heard Baron Browning come up in conversation. I
Okay.
think I think that could be interesting. But I think Browning. The problem with Browning is he's best used off of the edge. You know, so I don't know
Yeah,
if he's gonna fit our scheme. I think he fits more of a three or 3-4 than a 4-3. But I don't know. Who knows? We'll see. But yeah, I do think obviously the Browns' full focus is going to be on defense. Um, you got anybody at receiver that you're looking at? Because I think we need to bring in a speed guy.
um, not really.
Um, Paul out of Clemson. I think depending on how early the Browns would look at receivers, I think he's going to be available second round. That might be an option. Um, you remember that kid out of Indiana that was tearing us up all year, or not all year, all
Yeah,
game?
yeah, Yeah, I know who you're
Um,
talking about. I can't
I
think
for,
of his name.
yeah, I forget his name. He might be an
Damn, I'm trying to
option.
wait up.
Yeah, he might be an option later, maybe like third, fourth round, maybe. Let me try to find him. I can't remember his name. Um, yeah, receiver. Um, here it is. Well, actually, there's two of them. Ty Freifogel,
That's who it was, Firefogel.
and then Wap Fillier is another guy.
It was Firefogel, the one that was tearing us up.
Yeah, Freifogel was the one tearing us up, but Fillier's a guy who might drop like later. Like I don't see him dropping later than like maybe fifth. But he's a guy if they just want to pick him up for depth, who knows? But so yeah, I mean, yeah, defense is going to be the full focus. So, I mean, I think we just got to be optimistic with Andrew Barry. Knowing what he did with the offense, clearly he's smart enough to know this defense needs a lot of work. So it's just a matter of who he wants to get. Um, but it's like I said, we need a splash. Get on defense. I wonder who it's going to be because J.J. Watt, he's likely going to be available. I seen Von Miller. What do you think about those two?
Yep. I'll take JJ Watt.
I think J.J. opposite of Miles could be special,
Yeah, that's kind of dangerous.
but I will say this: I don't know if he'll come to Cleveland because of his brothers in Pittsburgh. I mean, he might. I don't know. He might come to Cleveland just to
Play against
sibling
each other.
rivalry, but I don't know. So, excuse me. But yeah, so I'm looking forward to the off season. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see what Andrew does. But just got to have your faith in him. You know what I mean? He's proven that he knows what he's doing. So,
Definitely.
all right. Anything else you want to say wrapping up here?
Not really, man. I'm excited for this off season.
I'm pumped. I can't wait. I love the draft. The draft is my favorite sports event, if you even want to call it. But I don't know. I just love looking at different prospects and who's going to go where and how the future's going to look. But it's going to be interesting. So, anyway, let the people know where they can find you.
You can find me on my Instagram at Cam Chasing with two N's. Or you can find me on my Browns page at Browns Nation.
So, be sure to go check him out. I always say this, but I'll tag him on Twitter and Instagram. So be sure to go check him out and give him a follow. Um, so yeah, everybody like, comment, subscribe. Let us know what you think. Um, like I said, everything's gonna be on here from now on as far as like the podcast stuff. You can expect a new one about every other week unless something big happens. We can of course do one anytime. It doesn't really matter, but off-season news sometimes comes in slow. So that's the thinking there. So anyway, I will see you in the next video, guys. Thanks for everything. Bye.